Few pitchers I look to buy here with the All-Star break winding down this week. The first guy, Holmes of the New York Yankees. So Holmes coming out of nowhere this season here with the Yankees after we know he's been on the Pittsburgh Pirates throughout his career. And he really hasn't done much, but this season, 41 and a third, 4-1 record, 16 saves, 27 hits, 6 earned runs, 9 walks, 44 Ks, and 2 blown saves on the season with a great 1.31 ERA and a 0.87 whip. But over the last few weeks here, that ERA's ballooned to an 8.31 and a 1.08 whip. So right here, Holmes was a guy that we knew he wouldn't maintain an ERA at an 0.50 like he had for the season here is Holmes. So now he's come back down to earth a little over the last few games, including 2 outings in a row where he went out there and he just didn't pitch great baseball here is Holmes. But right now, we know he's on a great Yankee team, best team in the league, with the games starting once again here today on Thursday, including a doubleheader. The Yankees right into the fire right away versus the Houston Astros. But Holmes, he's on a great team. He's going to get so many opportunities and maybe hit the wall a little bit here heading into the All-Star break. But now with the break ending here today, he's definitely a guy that could rejuvenate himself and get things going after a few days off here is Holmes. So Holmes right now, while he's been struggling over the last few weeks, this is a perfect time to get him because if he gets going again, he's going to tally up a lot of saves. And he's been one of the best relievers and closers in fantasy this season. So over the last couple weeks where he struggled 4 1/3, 0-1 record, got a save, 5 hits, 4 runs, 4 walks, 6 Ks, and the blown save with the 8.31 ERA. I think it's a little bit of hiccup, and I think second half here he's going to bounce back. So right now, while he's been struggling here, I think you could get him on a little bit of a discount, maybe for a decent bat at the end of your bench or one of utility hitters, even the starting pitcher in a deal here for Holmes. But he's definitely a closer, even though I'm not a big fan of closers you would want on your roster, especially with this Yankee team and the way they've been playing all season. The next guy is McKenzie Gore of the San Diego Padres. So Gore, one of the top prospects in all Major League Baseball the last few seasons. And he's finally been up this season. And he's been pretty good out of the gate. But over the last couple weeks here, he's really struggled. On the season, 68 and 2/3, 4-4 record, 65 hits, 33 earned runs, 35 walks, 71 Ks, 3 quality starts, a 4.33 ERA, and a 1.46 whip on the season. But the last few weeks here, he got bombed in his last few outings. 3 2/3, 0-1 record, 9 hits, 10 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks, a 24.55 ERA, and a 3.27 whip. So he's been getting hit around over his last 2 outings. Here's McKenzie Gore like a piñata. And he's available right now on a lot of waiver wires at 53%. So if he's out there on your waiver wire, I definitely would go out there and give him a shot here because I think he could turn things around. I think he got a little fatigued before the All-Star break. And let's face it, he plays in a tough division with the Dodgers, Giants, and even the Rockies can hit the baseball from time to time. July 3rd at the Dodgers, 5 2/3. No decision, 5 hits, a run, 4 walks, 3 Ks in that one. July 10th versus the Giants, 3 1/3, got the loss in that one. 8 hits, 8 runs, a walk, 2 Ks. And July 17th versus the Diamondbacks, he only went 1/3 in that one, but he didn't start that ball game. A hit, 2 runs, 2 walks, and a K. So I don't think they're going to pull him from the rotation here as Gore. They were using him a lot up and down as either a flex swingman or a starter a couple times this season here. But I think he gets back in that starting rotation. I know he's been struggling, but right now another guy who probably needed the All-Star break here in his rookie season in the major leagues. And he's a guy with a lot of potential. We saw it early in the season. He got out of the gate as one of the better starters in fantasy. And I think here, second half, he gets back on track. So right now, while you could pretty much give up nothing to get him on your roster, this is a perfect time to get him. And if he's on the waiver wire, I would definitely take a flyer on Gore this week. The next guy is Javier of the Houston Astros. So Javier, he got off to a roaring start the first 2-3 months of the season. But lately, he's been struggling. On the season, 78 and a third, 6-5 record, 52 hits, 28 earned runs, 30 walks, 112 Ks, and 4 quality starts. But the last few weeks here for Javier, 3 2/3, 0-1 record, 3 runs, 3 walks, 10 Ks, an 8.31 ERA for him, and a 1.73 whip. So right here, he actually pitches today in one of the ball games in the doubleheader with the New York Yankees is Javier. And Javier, he's a great talent, especially with the strikeouts this season, 112 and 78 innings. So he's up amongst the league leaders in strikeouts this year. He's on a great team in Houston. probably the second or third best team in all of Major League Baseball here. And the last outing for Javier just didn't go his way. 3 2/3 July 13th at the Angels. Got the loss, 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, but 10 Ks, like I mentioned. Even when he's struggling with ERA, whip, and control, he's still going to have a lot of strikeouts here as Javier. And I think versus the Yankees here, he could have a good ball game here as Javier. I think the strikeouts could be decent. I think he'll still probably give up 2 or 3 runs minimum. But if he gets bombed in this ball game today, I definitely will go out there and try to get him on my roster. He's on a great team in Houston. He's always going to help you out in strikeouts. And he's just a guy that's been slumping over the last few outings here as Javier. But once he bounces back, this guy could be one of the top starters on your fantasy roster for the remainder of the season. The next guy, Josh Hader of the Milwaukee Brewers. So surprisingly this week here, 2 closers have made my list of guys to buy this week. Hader, we know he's been one of the best closers over the last few seasons here. But this season, it's just been a struggle for him. 30 innings, 1-4 record, 27 saves, though. That leads the league, I believe, here. 23 hits, 15 runs, 11 walks, 52 strikeouts, 2 blown saves. A 4.50 ERA, though, and a 1.13 whip with a 29.70 ERA in the last few weeks and a 3.90 whip. So right here, he's been struggling mightily, is Hader, over the last few weeks. 2 1/3, 0-2 record. 2 saves, 9 hits, 10 runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks, and a blown save under his belt. So those last couple outings really did him in. July 13th in Minnesota, he didn't record an out, got the loss in that one. 2 hits, 3 runs, a walk. And then July 15th at the Giants, a third of an inning, got the loss, 5 hits, 6 runs, and the blown save, obviously. So right here, those last 2 outings before the break, it really did Hader in. But this guy, like I mentioned, he's a top talent at the closer position. He's got electric stuff. I know he's been on the trade block for seasons, but I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon here with this Milwaukee Brewer team, especially they're fighting for a first-place spot in the NL Central the whole season. It's been them and the Cardinals going neck and neck, switching off in that first place spot. So right here, while he's struggling, and if you need a closer here, you don't got to give up top price, obviously, now with Hader struggling mightily here. And I definitely would go out there and try to get him this week. And I think a hitter or maybe a decent starter could get it done, because once he's back on track, he's a top closer for sure. Here's Hader, and the 5th and final pitcher I look to buy and trade for is Lynn of the White Sox. I know I mentioned Lynn a few times this season here, but this is just uncharacteristic here for Lynn. He's been a pretty solid starting pitcher over the last few seasons. On the season, though, 36 innings, 1-3 record, 45 hits, 30 runs, 9 walks, 35 strikeouts, a quality start, a 7.50 ERA, and a 1.50 whip. But over the last couple weeks here, 12.21 ERA and a 1.86 whip. So 9 innings in that time. 0-2 record, 16 hits, 14 runs, 2 walks, 9 Ks. So Lynn, he's been batting practice. And the funny thing is here, he plays in a division with a lot of weak hitting teams. Kansas City pretty much don't hit the baseball consistently. The Guardians, they've been up and down this season. Detroit, same thing as them. They're not really a good hitting team. And the Twins as well. So right here, very puzzling that Lynn struggled. And like the teams I've mentioned, he struggled versus those teams. The last few outings here for him, July 6th, versus Minnesota, 5 innings, no decision, 6 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. July 11th at the Guardians, 4 innings, got the loss, 9 hits, 8 runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks in that one. And July 16th at the Twins, 5 innings, got the loss, 7 hits, 6 runs, 6 Ks. So he's mightily struggling here, is Lance Lynn, no doubt about it. And he's been dropped in 4% of fantasy leagues. But I'm going to give him a couple more outings. And then if he struggled, he's a guy I wouldn't really count on this season. But right now with the break, he might get things going. He's got a good matchup on paper, July 23rd versus the Cleveland Guardians. And I think Lynn's bounced back. And right now you could pretty much trade nothing, a guy on your bench, to get Lynn in the deal. And it's a low risk, high reward type of move. But like I mentioned, if he struggles the next 2 outings here, then I think it's just a lost season here for Lance Lynn. So that's a few pitchers I look to buy and trade for with the All-Star break ending here today in the fantasy baseball season.